So in his last interview, John Lear was basically saying like, you are here for you.
Yes, he said, you are here for you. I mean, I understand it, that's like the Nordics. They said you're not, there's no God, there's not all this stuff. That's Neptune in Pisces. People will have to figure out for themselves. The higher level, the advanced DT say this to the people. You're here to do your thing, your society. You have to figure things out on your own.
Freedom, right?
Freedom, that's
freedom
right.
Of
they say
mind.
We could give you all this medical technology. That would be interesting. Energy technology. But if someone gets it in their wrong hands and does something bad with it, so they won't interfere anymore. They just said you're on your own, basically. But that's good news in a way, because if we have to depend on them and they put it on the map for us, it wasn't our achievement.
Yeah.
Or if we fail, they get the karmic blowback.
Yeah, that's what he said. John Lear
That's exactly
said
why they don't do it.
And also, Colonel Philip Corso is said similar.
Corso, he saw the craft, if I understood that right. He saw the alien too.
One of them, yeah.
One of them, yes. And he was in charge of all of the programs, but long before, during the Second World War, according to his son, he was shipping around advanced weaponry.
Yeah.
And then he stayed in charge of all these programs for what looks like 40 years. Up including Reagan, Star Wars. He was the guy who designed Star Wars for Reagan. And that's according to what he explained to his son. And his son, Phil Corso Jr., also, like John Lear, talks like what people call spiritual, but it's not spiritual, it's just teachings or technological teaching of the ET. It's a logic they have. Now the people here will call this spiritual.
Yeah, well, I think like Buddha, I think it's a spiritual dimension, but I think it's beyond spiritual. Because we have such a narrow interpretation of what spiritual is.
Yeah, it went on through Atlantis. It was technology. All this so-called spiritual stuff is technology, yeah.
And that goes back to what John Lear said, because he said, you're here for you, right? So that goes back to the spiritual aspect and the technological aspect, because he said, you're not here to get rich, build corporations, build empires. You're here to develop you. And obviously that's not the body, right? That's where spiritual comes in.
Yeah, he always talks about reincarnation as absolutely logical, given scientific knowing of all the ETs. One of the ETs, the one in Roswell, was interviewed by admirals and generals, and Krishnamurti was there too. And the lady who wrote it down, she was a nurse, 50 years later, before she died, published the stuff. Now, I don't know if what is in the transcript, what the alien said, can be given any credence. We may not even understand what was said. But that the event took place is out of the question. The event took place, was recorded, and that alien said to them, reincarnation, he said, we live like 30,000 years or more. I remember all of history of this planet and backwards and other planets. And it's all one life, one long life. And John Lear says, there's no past, present and future. They all say the same.
Yeah,
all of those who have the real ET contact say the same logical statements that are outside of any spiritual understanding.
Okay, so you understand astrology, like literally your mind is in the stars. So in terms of like time, right? Time doesn't. Obviously, the soul has no. Time doesn't exist because time is the third dimension. So how would you translate that in terms of the movement of the cosmos?
It's just motion. Corso explained this very carefully.
Right?
He said there's only space, motion, and time travel. Yeah, sure, there's the element of that. For instance, he explained, that's very important, that very few know this. Here on this planet we have the exact time exactly, it's the same, okay? If you go up to a satellite, that's not far out, not even 100 kilometers. Already they need to adjust the atomic clock. So imagine you go further out. That's what he means. There is no time or something else other than time. That's why I said it's dimensions. And you may, let's say if you traveled in a spaceship up 10,000 miles up, that would be through the radiation belt always, you might wind up in some, how do you say, like an antique
another
world.
dimension.
Another dimension.
Antique world, yeah.
Atlantis, where it'd be green and seas and rivers. We think it's all black space and black, but maybe not. There are like rabbit holes throughout the whole dimensions.
But there's another thing that people don't realise, but you would understand because you've also...
But astrology is just motion. It's just moving the pieces around.
Right, but that applies to the nautical, the law of the sea, because you're also have been sailing in the sea. You understand those dimensions, and your watch is based on north, south, east, and west.
Yeah.
That watch there.
Yeah.
That's, although that little hand is going around, the design of the watch is based on north, south, east, and west.
Yeah.
It's nautical.
It's like a compass.
Yeah, it's a nautical compass.
And also the maps in the Vatican, everything they knew was the same. I'm sure they were in contact with ETs then, the Gnostics were, everybody was. They all were. So I think we are the last ones to know the joke. This civilization, 21st century, we're like new to this game. The ancient civilizations knew all this. Probably they worked with it, because they couldn't have had crystal cities in Atlantis and all this stuff they had without ET contact.
Okay, so that's the next part that we have to talk about, because we're now talking about John Keel, Operation Trojan Horse.
Yeah, Operation Trojan Horse, the title says it all.